Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Lab 41 videos, and today we are going to cover topic 11, coordination and response, and the subtopic 11.4, hormones. The step to success today is to state the definition of hormones, state the two examples of hormones, and explain their roles. So let's go into our first learning objective. So if you guys have your Cornell notes, please get it ready and maybe pause this video if you haven't gotten it ready yet. This is your first learning objective, which is I define a hormone as a chemical substance produced by a gland carried by the blood which alters the activity of one or more specific target organs and is then destroyed by the liver. So, what are hormones? Hormones are chemical molecules that are made up of protein, and they are very small, they are soluble, and they are diffusible. And the reason for them for being small, soluble, and diffusible is so that they can be transported faster in blood capillaries. Where are they made? Hormones are produced by glands that have no ducts. So these glands are also called ductless glands or endocrine glands. So this is just another name for ductless glands. What do we mean by ductless glands? So a duct is basically something like this over here. They have like a little tube that chemicals can pretty much pass through them. So this is what you call a duct. So you do know one duct, like the bile duct. So that one has a duct. There's like a little tube. And for endocrine glands, there is no duct. They literally are just surrounded by blood capillaries, and that is how the hormones are being transported. So endocrine glands are what we call ductless glands. There are other ones called exocrine glands as well that actually has a duct. So just so you know, we're focusing on endocrine glands, aka ductless glands today. Hormones are again made up in ductless glands, but what do they mainly do? So once those endocrine or ductless glands make the hormones, and when they are made, they are directly passed into the blood to be transported to target organs. Hormones will alter the activity of these target organs. So hormones only work at their target organs. Like the effects of the hormone can only be can only be made, literally the effects are only found at these target organs. So what are the examples of glands, hormones, and target organs? So a gland, or glands, a pair of them. The first one that you need to learn is called the adrenal glands, or the adrenals. And the hormones that they make is the adrenaline. And the target organ where they will have an effect on is the liver, the heart, and voluntary muscles. Voluntary muscles are basically muscles that you can move voluntarily. Voluntary means that you want to do it and you tell them to do it and they will do it. So this includes your arm muscles, your leg muscles. I would say even the muscles that control your eyes, that when you blink, those are pretty much voluntary too. You can close your eyes right now if you want to and not focus on this video, but I do not recommend that, because the next gland we're going to learn about is the islets of Langerhans, and these make insulin, the hormone insulin, and they have an effect on the target organs, liver, and muscles. So what do hormones do? After hormones are carried or to those target organs and they carry the effect on those target organs, hormones are finally destroyed in the liver. That means that they will have no more effect on the target organs. So this is another main function of the liver, is that they metabolize hormones as well, and which is they break down hormones. And remember, hormones are made up of proteins, so therefore they also do that. Remember that the liver does break down protein into urea, and remember that is to do with excess proteins, but in this case we are breaking down hormones which are also made of proteins, just so you know. Okay, so we know all about hormones from there. We talked about the examples of hormones, what they do, where they are transported, and how they are destroyed. And this is very important because this is all included in the definition of a hormone. So when an exam question asks you to define a hormone, this is what you need to mention, and all these points are very important. So firstly, a hormone is a chemical substance. So a protein is a chemical substance. Carbohydrates are chemical substance. Hormones are chemical substances, and they are produced by a gland carried by the blood, which alters the activity of one or more specific target organs and is then destroyed by the liver. So all of these keywords and main points are very important for you guys to pretty much remember for the definition of hormone. Next is our next learning objective, where I think we have about 3 today. So this is your next one, which is J. State the role of the hormone adrenaline in boosting the blood glucose concentration, and give examples of situations in which this may occur. So what is adrenaline? You know that adrenaline is a hormone, but what kind of hormone is it? It is what we call the fight or flight hormone. They are released during emergencies. For example, competitive events, which includes exams, when you're chased by angry dogs, so something that is scary for you, or even during a heated argument. So in this case, you're either fighting to answer those questions because they stress you out so much, or you're flying, you're being chased by a dog, so you're running away, or you choose to fight in a heated argument. That's why we call it the fight or flight hormone. These are usually released when your body is really under stress and it really needs to either fight to stop that stress away or fly away, which is getting away from something that is an emergency that might cause you harm in any way. So this adrenaline is mainly used in fight or flight. Like back in the days, that's when people really needed to forage for food, for example, and there's a lot of predators. So this is very important for the safety of that human being. But as you guys know, nowadays a lot of the problems that we face and emergencies that we face, especially the stress that we face, are a lot to do with our minds, and they're not really physical stresses but also mentally stressful events. For example, exams. Adrenaline is actually produced, as we mentioned before, in the adrenal glands, and these are situated, that means that you can find them above the kidney. So this is a picture of a pair of kidneys, you have 2 of them, and you can see that little like a white hat or like a white triangle, and those are what we call the adrenal glands. So if we have a look over here, this is a drawing of the adrenal glands that are sitting right on top of the kidneys, and this is basically the real picture, the live photo of it. So the effects of adrenaline on your target organs, so this is when you are under emergencies, what it does is that it helps you to prepare for that fight or flight mode. So at the liver, to prepare you to either fight or flight, the liver will turn glycogen into glucose. Remember that in animal nutrition, we learned about carbohydrates and the fact that glycogen is how we store our glucose in the case that we need to use them. So this is a case where you need to use your glucose because you need energy to either fight or flight. So during the emergency situation, adrenaline is a hormone that will help your liver to convert glycogen into glucose. The reason for this is to boost blood sugar levels in emergencies. And another way for adrenaline to help you during the fight or flight is to make sure that your heart will beat much more faster. And this will help more oxygen to be sent to your brain and your muscles as well. Your brain will help you be more alert, and you need your brain to be alert when you are trying to fight someone or flying away, as in running away from someone. And your muscles need a lot of those oxygen as well for respiration, so that you have the energy to actually move your muscles. And there we have it. Finally, by having a lot of glucose and your heart beating faster to transport all that oxygen, then your muscles will tire less easily because you're getting a lot of oxygen and glucose to help you fight or fly away. All right. The next learning objective today, I think this will be our last learning objective today, is to state the role of the hormone insulin in controlling blood glucose concentration. What is insulin? Insulin is a hormone and it controls the level of blood glucose. What do we mean by blood glucose is the fact that it is the amount or the level of glucose that you can find in your blood. Remember that blood itself is to do with transporting substances to all parts of your body. So inside blood you have the blood cells, and then you have your red blood cells, and you also have that yellowish liquid. Do you remember what that is? I hope you remember what that is. Yes, I kind of forgot what it was. What is it? What is that yellowish liquid called in blood? Plasma. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm sorry, but it's almost 11 and yeah. Okay, plasma. All right. So, your blood has plasma, and plasma is where most of the substances are dissolved. We remember that because it is 70% made up of water, and that is where the dissolving part comes from. So, in your blood, you have glucose, and that glucose is found in your plasma and is being transported to all parts of your body. And so what we mean by blood glucose is basically the amount of glucose that can be found in your blood. And it can be released so as in insulin is released to increase absorption of glucose to body cells and to convert glucose into glycogen. So this does get a little bit confusing here. So the thing about insulin that you need to know is that you want to store glucose. That means to reduce blood glucose levels, so the amount of glucose that is found in your blood. And to do this, what insulin does is that it's going to encourage your body cells to absorb that glucose from your blood, and then after that, convert that glucose to glycogen for storage. So in the end, you will have less glucose in your blood, aka blood glucose will drop. So where is insulin produced? They are produced in these glands called the islets of Langerhans. That's how you spell it. And just so you know, the L here is a capital L. I don't remember why. I think it's named after someone who found these, if I'm not mistaken. All right. These are found in the pancreas. So where is the pancreas? It is here in your digestive parts. It is an accessory organ of your digestive system. So this part right here is your pancreas, and you can find the islets of Langerhans inside. So what do we mean by inside? Literally inside it. So over here, if you have a look and focus up here, endocrine cells, pancreatic islets, so that's referring to the islets of Langerhans, which is right around here. If you do focus on those like reddish color there, that usually refers to the blood capillaries. So you can see that blood capillaries are surrounding the islets of Langerhans because they produce the hormone insulin. And remember, hormones are all transported straight into the bloodstream. So what are the effects of insulin on the target organs? In the liver, it promotes, and also voluntary muscles, it promotes the uptake of glucose. This means that glucose will be taken or absorbed into muscles and the liver. And insulin also promotes or encourages the liver and voluntary muscles to convert that glucose into glycogen because you want to store it. So this is in the case that is slightly the opposite of adrenaline. Adrenaline, you want to convert the glycogen into glucose so you can use it. But for insulin, you want to store glucose instead. So firstly, you want to make sure that those cells in the liver and the muscles can take in glucose more so that glucose will be absorbed more. Therefore, the blood glucose level will drop because now they are inside the muscles and the liver. And to store it up more for a longer term, glucose is converted into glycogen. So now we are basically done with all our 3 learning objectives today. So remember, our step to success was to state the definition of hormones, state the 2 examples of them, and also explain their roles. So what is a definition of hormones? It is very, very long. So remember, a hormone is a chemical substance and is produced by a gland and carried by the blood, which has a job to alter the activity of one or more specific target organs and is then destroyed by the liver. And that's the definition of hormones. And the second step to success is to state 2 examples of hormones. And to do this, don't forget about which gland makes them and what are their target organs. So the gland that you can mention is the adrenal gland or the adrenals. The hormone that they make is adrenaline, and the target organ is the liver, the heart, and the voluntary muscles. Second gland that you need to remember is the islet of Langerhans, and the hormone that it makes is insulin, and their target organ is the liver and muscles. Thirdly, is to explain the roles of these hormones. So firstly, let's talk about adrenaline. Adrenaline has these target organs, which is the liver, heart, and voluntary muscles. And what does it do? It turns glycogen to glucose to boost blood sugar level in emergencies. Another name of blood sugar is actually blood glucose level as well. And adrenaline also encourages the heart to beat much more faster, or influences the heart to beat faster, so that more oxygen will be sent to the brain and muscles, and therefore voluntary muscles can and will tire less easily during an emergency situation. So remember, your examples of emergency situation include competitive competitive events, for example, examinations, during a heated argument, and another one is being chased by a dog. That is actually a legit example you can write down. Okay, the third one is to explain the roles of insulin. This is our last step to success to answer. So this is pretty much a little bit of the opposite of adrenaline, where you want to store your glucose instead. So insulin would promote the uptake of glucose, and it will encourage the conversion of glucose into glycogen for storage. So you want to reduce the blood glucose level instead. And that is all for today, folks. I hope that you guys have a good day. Please stay healthy, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!